The X Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell is largely an opinion talk show. All opinions, comments, or statements of fact expressed by Rob McConnell's guests are strictly their own and are not to be construed as those of the X Zone Radio Show or endorsed in any manner by Rob McConnell, Relmar McConnell Media Company, the X Zone Broadcast Network, its affiliated networks, stations, employees, or advertisers.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
And welcome to the X Zone, everyone. I am Rob McConnell, and for the next 4 hours, I'm your host and your guide as together we cross the time-space continuum to this place that I call the X Zone. It's a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. It's a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. The X Zone comes to you Monday through Friday from 10 p.m. Eastern until 2 a.m. Eastern, right here on the X Zone Broadcast Network, Talkstar Radio Network, Mutual Broadcast Network, Simul Radio and Simul TV, and on iHeartRadio. If you'd like to send me an email, xzone at xzoneradiotv.com, on all social media sites, Xzone Radio TV. And to find out about the programming we have available for you 24/7, 365 on the X Zone Broadcast Network, visit www.xzbn.net. X Zone Nation, my first guest tonight is Christopher Fleming, and he was born in 1967, the son of Patricia Fleming and Chicago Blackhawks hockey legend Reggie Fleming. Though he traveled extensively with his parents and sister during his father's active years playing hockey, Chris spent most of his childhood in the northwest suburbs of Chicago. As early as he can remember, Chris was prone to experiencing extraordinary encounters in the form of ghosts and unexplained phenomenon, from shadowy figures coming out of the closets and dim corners to glowing ghosts manifesting above grade school friends during sleepovers. Joining me now is Christopher Fleming. And Chris, welcome back to the X Zone after all these years.
Yes, Rob, thanks for having me. It's been a long time.
It has been. What have you been up to since I last talked to you about years ago?
Yeah, so many years ago.
Yeah.
A lot. Obviously we go through personal experiences and everything, but also in the paranormal field, a lot can happen.
Yes.
With our individual experiences as well as our research and our contributions to the field as well. But, I published a magazine back in the 90s dealing with unknown phenomena, UFOs, ghosts, and all that stuff because of my fascination as a child growing up in a haunted house. And then after the 90s, I got into the mortgage business. I needed to make money because it was very difficult as a publisher. But because of publishing that magazine, I was very fortunate that a production company in the UK saw one of my issues. And they said, hey, this guy would be great on this TV show that we're wanting to do called Dead Famous. So after trying to track me down after a couple of months, they said, hey, we'd like to fly you out to the UK. Mm-hmm. Are you still into the paranormal? I said, well, yeah. I believe in ghosts. I've had experiences, and I still do research. So they hired me for the show, and I did a show called Dead Famous. And the reason why I'm illustrating this is not to say, hey, I did a TV show. For me, it was a decision, do I really want to delve back into this but do it publicly where people are going to know more about my belief system, my experiences? And a lot of this stuff is personal to me, what I went through as a kid. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm glad it happened, and when it did happen, through some of the hesitations of some of the locations we went to, trying to communicate with Marilyn Monroe, James Dean, Frank Sinatra, I had incredible experiences, and when some of the spirits would appear and I would interact, they were saying well, we never left. We were always around, but you kind of shut it off. So for me, it was like, you know what? This really is intriguing to me. This is something I've always had since my childhood. If I'm going to do this, I'm going to dive right in. And that's what I did. And I've been doing that ever since, finding out more about other forms of consciousness, life after death, near-death experiences, the different dimensions, alternate realities. And in doing that, It answered a lot of questions through my research and finding out why there are other entities that exist and that there are other different levels of consciousness that when we leave the human body, we actually access. So my research has evolved since you and I spoke last to not into just talking about personal experiences and do ghosts exist. I mean, they definitely exist. There's no doubt about that. But there's also other forms, life forms, and other entities that exist. And there's more to who we are as spiritual and conscious beings than I ever realized in the past.
Well, let me ask you this. So let's set the stage properly.
Mm-hmm.
What are we? What do you believe we are? Are we spirits in a meat suit, so to speak? Are we? What are we?
Great question. What we are is we are a part of the whole. And when I say the whole, you can call it the creator, you can call it God. The military even discussed it as the absolute consciousness of this being that existed, wanted to know, who am I? I am. Well, if I am, and I'm aware that I am, then how am I? And in that, it created other life forms, almost perfect to itself. And as that began to occur, it decided that it wanted to experience things, to truly know what it was, who it was, why it was, all those things. So it created individuals with free will. And through that, it had to create another place, another form of existence where things would slow down. The vibration would slow down. There would be emotions. There would be good. There would be bad. There would be light. There would be dark, pain, pleasure. And with that free will of itself, it allowed its individual parts to have multiple experiences and create new experiences and then have offspring, and those offspring would have experiences and so on until it could complete every form of sequence. And then once that was done, it would collapse and it would start all over again in a completely different sequence. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about that we are part of that absolute, part of that collective, part of that creator. But we were given an individual personality, an individual thought process, which we call free will, to make choices. And in doing that, we carry that absolute, that creator, to places that it would not be able to go to without that free will choice.
So are you saying that we never cease? We are in a constant loop of some sort, what some people would call reincarnation?
I believe that reincarnation is probably a lot more complicated than we realize.
Okay.
And that things can happen simultaneously. And that, imagine this, and this is something I just discovered a couple of years ago on my own, having my own personal experience, was that when we come to a crossroad, we have a choice. Should I take this job? Should I not take this job? Should I go here? Should I go there? Should I be in this relationship? Should I end the relationship? There are obviously options, alternatives. But the question is what happens when you make that one decision and you follow that path? What happens to those other options? Is it just because we thought about it, it no longer exists? What if that actually takes place somewhere else and it falls through? Because it was once created, it can't be destroyed. So it happens to play out in an alternate reality, and that there is another part of you that is playing that out somewhere else. Now, I believe that is why we have deja vu. Wow, I feel like I've been here before. Well, guess what? Your alternate that followed a different path, made a different choice, got there quicker than you did, and it's just recognizing the exact similarity of that space and time.
So how are we connected with our other self?
Well, we're always connected because it's a part of us, but we're connected because of the Creator. And if we were to ask the Creator, well, how's that possible? Why would there be alternate realities? And he would say, well, why wouldn't there be? If I wanted to truly, say I'm the Creator, I wanted to truly experience all things, then why would I not allow, by your choices and you creating through free will these other options, for me to pursue those other options, but also take you there, but yet you're not aware of it because you're in this reality, and I want you to fulfill this path that you have, but then take a part of you to fulfill another path that you create.
But why does the Creator need us to do his experiencing for him or her?
Because he needs someone that has free will, that has a choice, and comes up with creative ideas that he would not be able to on his own.
Why not? He's the Creator.
Why? Well, if you take 5 people, say you have a football team, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's different. and everybody comes up with ideas. You have a panel that goes into a room, a board meeting, and everybody comes up with different ideas to create this marketing campaign.
Right. Okay. But
everybody has, because they have a different experience and sees things from a different perspective, they're going to have more ideas than just one individual. But Chris, thing is, it's not to just have the idea, but to experience it. You can't experience it by yourself. You have to replicate yourself and allow yourself to go across the cosmos to experience it in all different ways.
But if the Creator is using each and every one of us to experience things, why would he not be the recipient of all this data, therefore being able to come to all these conclusions by himself?
Well, he is.
So why does he need us?
What is a thought? A thought occurs like you think of an idea and then it kind of disappears or goes into your subconscious. Or what if the Creator has that thought, and then with that amount of time, that's what is our existence, 1 million years, thousands of years, and it all occurs. Our concept of time is completely different outside of this realm.
Chris, stand by. You and I have to take our first commercial break. Exonation, Christopher Fleming is our special guest, www.christopherfleming.com. And Christopher and I will be back on the other side of the short break as we continue here in the X Zone from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't forget, the X Chronicles newspaper for June and July 2018 is now available with our compliments at www.xchroniclesnewspaper.com. Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X Zone radio show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X Zone broadcast network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember, 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
You have heard of the X Zone? Now watch it on Simul TV. Plus 500 video games, live TV channels, free video on demand, worldwide, and more. Does this sound like tomorrow's television? Well, it is, but you can have it today, right now. It is Simul TV. Simul TV offers what the others only wish they could provide. 15 exclusive channels like X Zone, sci-fi, and horror. We are worldwide. No other provider offers that. 500 built-in video games. No need to have an extra expensive system. We have them included. Free video on demand. Live streaming events from around the world. Interactive online network, and much more. Tomorrow's TV today. Simul TV. Sound too good to be true? Well, it's not. You can have Simul TV today. Sign up at simultv.com. Do it today.
We live in rapidly shifting times of extreme volatility and uncertainty. Such profound change brings a unique opportunity for the evolution of consciousness. I'm Gwilda Wiyaka, host of Mission Evolution Radio Show, a program that explores the latest scientific developments and deepening spiritual truths supporting human evolution. Join me on XZBN.net, where I interview leading experts in science, physics, medicine, spirituality, and more. By applying divergent viewpoints to leading-edge topics, we uncover expansive and evolutionary truth to assist you on your path to enlightenment. More information and past episodes are available at missionevolution.org.
Christopher Fleming is my guest this hour, Exonation, www.christopherfleming.com. Okay, Chris, we've got all these people out here being attached to the Creator. Each one of us has free will. We are experiencing things, feeding back to the Creator. Why?
Why not?
I mean, I don't understand if the Creator is the one who creates. If the Creator is getting all this information from all us creations all over the universe and in different realities and different dimensions, why does he need to feel everything through us? Why? Are we puppets?
I wouldn't say we're puppets at all, because we have our own free will, our own experiences, our own families, our own adventures. We're given that. But we're also allowing that part of the Creator to go along for the ride with us. Like a painter paints, a fisherman fishes, a creator creates.
So is this a symbiotic relationship?
I would think so.
Okay. So where do ghosts and the paranormal fit into this equation?
Well, that's an interesting question, and here's what I believe.
Okay.
That ghostly encounters can be a multitude of a couple things. One of them can be that part of your other self that never went back to the absolute, never went back to the Creator. It got stuck here by its attachment or its thought process, either from fear, regret, anger, sadness, and decided not to go to the other side. But then also, what if we do at times come in contact with that other part of us or an other timeline where we're seeing something like a residual energy that exists?
Okay.
We've known through paranormal investigating that at times we can communicate with some of these specters, these spirits, as if it's present day. But then some of them will talk to us saying, get out of our time. And they're completely still living another timeline. So it becomes confusing to us because we are in 2018 or 2017, if it's last year, and yet they're telling us that it's still a completely different time period. So what's going on? Well, what happens at times when you're in the paranormal field and you're communicating through ITC, meditation, other forms, is what are you truly doing? You are communicating not with the physical body, but with consciousness, with the thought process. And what I've found out over the years, and I'm not just the only one, there's been people before me, for hundreds, if not thousands of years, and there's many people all over the world that do this. So I'm no different. But in my voice, what I'm saying is that in my own experience, I've realized that we are not limited to this physical body, that also in consciousness, that if we restrict ourselves just to this present time, then we are restricted to that. But if we're aware that there is a whole other realm out there that is not restricted to it, such as a matrix, as the military talks about, the diagonals of going through with consciousness to access the past, present, and future, such as they do in remote viewing, you realize that you can access these other pockets of time that are in this matrix. So does it mean that time is all based on one timeline? No. It's up, down, left, right, and you can occupy that through consciousness. When you strip away your belief systems that the third dimension, everything is all that there is. And in doing this, it made me realize that in between these spaces exist other entities. Some of us call them demons, some of us call us creatures, and there are, of course, aliens and other beings as well, some physical, some interdimensional, that have all come to manifest throughout time from the Creator, as well as from these own beings that have created other beings, no different than we create offsprings and hybrids of animals or vegetables and fruits and as we have children. All these other life forms, many of them are having offspring as well. And then you begin to realize, my God, we are not just the only ones in the universe, in the multiverse, that there's all these other things going on. You start to wonder, well, what is the connection? So when it comes to ghosts, a lot of paranormal investigators, ghost hunters, they're just focusing on the ghost that's haunting that house. I've been doing that since I was a child, back in the 70s. I did that in the 80s. I did it in the 90s. And it was in the last 15 years that I started going, God, there's more than just this. There's got to be. And as soon as I started releasing that, I started going into other realms and seeing some of these other things. And I'm beyond just talking to a ghost and ghost hunting. I'm into the consciousness, the travel, the finding out, okay, this spirit that's trapped here and this spirit that's trapped here in another realm, why is it in this other realm? What is this other realm? And learning about that.
So where do we go from here?
Where do we go from here?
Yeah.
Where do I go from here? Where do we go?
Where does humanity go? Like, there seems it's such a complicated and complex subject, and yet there are so many who believe it's very plain, very simple. Somebody dies, they become a ghost. We chase the hell out of them. They scare us. We scare them.
Well, here's the thing. Everybody has a different perspective. Mm-hmm. Within that perspective, they have a level of existence. If I step back and I look at the world as a whole, I mean, we're messed up. We're really messed up with what's going on in this world. You can just turn on the news and there's this divide and conquer that's going on. It is getting worse every day. And it's sad, but it's happened through many civilizations. And usually when that begins to occur, you have an end of a civilization, unless somebody comes in to try to bring it back together, or something dramatic occurs and people say enough is enough and they start over. But I'm afraid that's where we're headed. We're headed into this divide, and something major is going to happen, and then we're going to try to learn from it again. But the thing is when is humanity, through all existence, going to learn? When are they going to realize that we are not separate, yet we keep dividing ourselves? We all come from this collective, this one source, and until we realize that, we truly will never get along. But the thing is though, you have to step back and go, well, maybe it's supposed to be that way, so the Creator experiences that. So we have those individual experiences, and that may very well be the case. Allow that person to live life as an atheist and not believe in life after death, not believe in anything. And it's perfectly okay, because the Creator wants to experience that. And allow that separate identity wants to experience that, and that's why it's here, to not know these things and see things from a different perspective. And it's quite possible that that's the whole point, is for everybody to have these individual beliefs, these individual cultures, religions, no religions, so that we have that individual experience. So then it becomes a judging point. Then we really can't be judging all these things that occur. Where does the madness end?
Sure.
I can't answer that.
Well,
go ahead.
Who is the Creator, and who created the Creator?
His name is Bob. No, I'm just kidding. I wanted to throw some humor in there because it's been getting very serious. It is a very good question. And I remember 3 years ago, I was having an experience, and I was going in and out of my body. And I remember any little sound within the environment, I was going there. Because as soon as I thought of it, I was traveling there super fast. And I was freaking out, and I had no control. And I'm like, oh, my God, please, how do I control this? I do not want to lose control of consciousness. And then a voice said to me, I am consciousness. Yet this voice was separate from me. And then crazy enough, I responded to it. I said, well, your consciousness, yes, I am you and you are me. And I says, okay, great. I'm talking to myself. No, you're not. And I says, who are you? And it says, I am the Alpha, I am the Omega. And I says, wait a minute, you are the Creator, and I'm now talking to the Creator. Now I'm starting to sound like Neil Donald Walsh. And it said, yes and no. And I said, what do you mean yes and no? Yes, if you want me to be, and no, if you don't. I will leave. So at that point, I wasn't really concerned about having this complete conversation I was trying to regain control of my conscious, my spirit going in and out of my body, because last 5 years I've been having that happen to me. I had this fear. So I began to calm down, and this voice was very soothing to me, and as it spoke, it started telling me things, not only about myself, but telling me about existence. I had no other choice but to listen to it. And when I listened to it, I said, this makes complete sense, and this is pretty amazing. As a couple days went by after this event, I began to kind of question it. And then I started hearing things on the radio. There was articles that I saw. A book that came out, and I recognized it a month later, and I'm like, oh my God, these little things that the universe is popping up in front of me now, this synchrodestiny, these messages are confirming the experience that I had, that there is a connection with the Creator, that we are all part of this collective consciousness, that most of us are only aware of our own consciousness, and a lot of us have trouble with that own consciousness, our own thoughts. and worries, but that we are never separate from it. The difference is that we're not all aware of it. And maybe that's a good thing, because being aware of it, it is overwhelming. We cannot comprehend being able to access all places in space and time and outside space and time. It is way too much for the human consciousness. So all that is locked away. We are put into a third dimension to be taught, educated as we go through school and high school and college and in the real world, and to try to live through that experience, that life, and get through that. Otherwise, it becomes a huge undertaking to try to make sense of all this other stuff that's going on.
All right, Chris, stand by. You and I have to take our news break at the bottom of the hour. X Zone Nation, Chris Fleming is our special guest, www.christopherfleming.com. And you can listen to his monthly podcast at spirittalk.planetparanormal.com. This is the X Zone. I am Rob McConnell. We're coming to you from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. And if you'd like to get your very own copy of the X Chronicles newspaper, it's very simple. Go to www.xchroniclesnewspaper.com.
From our broadcast studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, to the world and beyond, you're watching the X Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net.
AVS Media Demo.
You have heard of the X Zone? Now watch it on Simul TV, plus 500 video games, live TV channels, free video on demand, worldwide, and more. Does this sound like tomorrow's television? Well, it is, but you can have it today, right now. It is Simul TV. Simul TV offers what the others only wish they could provide. 15 exclusive channels like X-Zone, Sci-Fi, and Horror. We are worldwide. No other provider offers that. 500 built-in video games. No need to have an extra expensive system. We have them included. Free video on demand. Live streaming events from around the world, interactive online network, and much more. Tomorrow's TV today. Simul TV. Sound too good to be true? Well, it's not. You can have Simul TV today. Sign up at simultv.com. Do it today.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
Rob McConnell here, presenting an overview for Nicholas Paul Jennings, author of a fascinating book, Amen. It presents facts revealed by Egyptologists, facts that enable us to understand why Amen is the beginning of creation of God. It provides recommendations for religious leaders of the major religions to unify their beliefs and teach the Word of God. Love one another. Amen informs people how mankind conceived God. It was the Egyptians that developed the concepts of a soul, a hereafter, and Son of God. And finally, after the worship of many gods, they conceived the belief in one universal God, the maker of all there is. For more information, visit www.futureofgodamen.com. That's www.futureofgodamen.com.
Welcome back, everyone. Chris Fleming is my special guest, www.christopherfleming.com, and you can see all of Chris's videos at www.chrisfleming.tv. Chris, you said you wanted to ask me something when we were on our last news break.
Rob, have you ever heard of the CIA document called the Analysis and Assessment of the Gateway Process?
I can't say yes and I can't say no.
The Department of the Army of Intelligence had done an investigation into the Monroe Institute, which is the Jaime sink, back in June of 1983. And they were doing this because they were involved in remote viewing from the 70s, and they were trying to expand upon consciousness and kind of understand how they can use this psychic-type spying and going into the past, the present, and the future because they know what was going on in Russia with some of the psychic stuff that they were doing. Mm-hmm. Well, they went out to the Monroe Institute, and they had Joe McGonigal went out there and a couple other individuals. Yep. And after a period of time, they went through the program, they researched it, and they did an analysis and an assessment that they had submitted to the commander of the U.S. Army Operational Group. And anybody listening, you can Google Analysis and Assessment of Gateway Process, and you will find the CIA document that is on the website right now. Now, in researching this document, unfortunately, there's a page or two that's missing, and I would love to find that page, and it's near the summary section. But I suggest you read this because it's fascinating. When I read this, I found this about a year ago. Shortly after I had another one of my conscious experiences, I've been saying to the universe, I want to know more. I want to know more. Is this real that I had this experience? When I discovered this, I'm like, oh my God, because some of the things in this assessment I went through and I experienced, and here was an Army intelligence research document on the CIA website confirming some of the experiences, the similarities of the experiences I had from something dated back in June 1983.
What were those experiences that you had that were mentioned, parallel to what was in that document?
Well, in this document, it uses the term absolute, okay? And they don't use the word creator, but they say that various religions have been right, that there's a father, there's a son, and that comes down here and has an experience, and that there is this consciousness that just exists in this like almost nothingness, like this black, dark matter, this black space and they name some physicists, some famous physicists that have described stuff that coincides with what they're stating here in the assessment, that this being, this entity, this consciousness sends itself to these other realms to have experiences. But yet what they have found out and they illustrate in this assessment is that the human brain is just a computer system, and it allows our soul and that consciousness to flow through us to receive the information, to have the individual personality and experience. But the good news is that after that entity, such as us, that physical form passes away, it doesn't cease to exist. All of it goes back to the absolute and is absorbed by the absolute, but maintains its own separate personality and identity. And then it continues over and over again, and such as the multitude of people that have been on this planet. So I'm reading this going, this basically is stating that life after death exists, but they're stating it in a scientific manner that is just unbelievable. So for me, here's what I found what was really interesting. As a paranormal investigator that as a child was attacked by demons because we used to do the Ouija board. Yeah. We had sitters, babysitters and stuff. My dad played hockey. My mom was a flight attendant. They weren't home. They quit the next day because of the demonic entities that came out of the wall and chased after us. They witnessed these creatures. And, of course, over the years investigating possessions, hauntings, coming in contact with some of these entities. In this document, in the summary, it states in its letter J, be intellectually prepared to react to possible encounters with intelligent, non-corporeal energy forms from when time-space boundaries are exceeded. Now, we know in the paranormal field that these demonic entities such as imps, which are the lowest of the hierarchy, and they tend to be pests and infiltrate homes and cause most of the hauntings and oppression, they are in between our dimension, the other dimension, but mostly in this dimension. So there is a conscious level of energy and vibration that is able to go from this third dimension into this fourth dimension. And when I saw this paragraph, I was like, holy cow, they're talking about what we call these demons and these other entities that will affect our energy or our consciousness. And then they also say to protect yourself, build holographic patterns, to repulse possible unwanted out-of-body presences. So they talk about in this, they don't say demons because they're not going to use it because that's a religious term.
Yeah.
But they're talking about these energy forms to protect yourself and that they're intelligent. And I read this and I'm like, holy, and I don't want to swear on your program, but for me, this was huge. It validated some of the entities that we're coming in contact with in a very general term.
Okay, so if we're talking about a document that was on a government website that was basically, from what I understand, written by the scientific community, why do we then call the paranormal if it has been scientifically proven to exist?
Knowledge is power. And as a government, and no different than the Romans controlled, and as we know with the Roman Catholic Church, I was raised Roman Catholic, and there's some amazing principles, and it's fantastic. But an institution is an institution, and to get people to give you money, to pay for that institution, you have to control them to a degree, because if they know that they are very powerful spiritual beings connected to the Creator, they're really not going to follow every single thing you say because they don't have to. And so that's what science and a lot of things are, is there are probably discoveries, and if you do the research out there, you spend time over a lifetime or 10 years, 5 years, you find stuff that's just so amazing. Yeah. And with the guests you had on the show, aliens, UFOs, and all these other things, it's suppressed. It is suppressed from the people.
But how can we say it's suppressed from the people, Chris, if you found it on a website?
Because it's not taught in public schools. It's not taught in private institutions.
But what is taught in public schools is mostly crap anyway, because they're still teaching the kids that Christopher Columbus discovered America.
I was just going to say that.
Exactly.
Right. And it's wrong.
It is.
But it's to put us into a frame of mind that this is the way it is, and let's just follow it.
Is it that, or is it that we really don't want to accept the fact that after all these years, what we believe to be real is nothing else but a bunch of sheep manure?
Well, maybe.
Yeah.
It's interesting that, you look in the articles over the last 10 years, and of course Tesla talked about this and Einstein talked about it, is that this infinite intelligence that exists in the universe. And it's in their reports. You can find it. They talk about this infinite intelligence, but then also you see in the last 10 years, and even longer than that we're living in a holographic universe, that all particles are hollow, 95% hollow, and this and that, and everything's connected through entanglement like a computer program and a system, and one particle communicates, you separate to the other one. We're living in a software program.
But are we trying to explain an existence that we're really not sure about, and in order to try and make some semblance of the society we live in and the possibilities that are out there, we concoct all of this holographic existence that we live in that people like to talk about?
Rob, the perspective that you just stated, I cannot experience. I'm not from that perspective.
Yeah.
Because as a child, I grew up seeing ghosts face to face. I had grade school friends that didn't believe me and slept over, and they saw it too and never slept over again. And since then, and a lot of people that, any people that are listening to me that have investigated with me, they know I've had friends all around me that have never had a paranormal experience, but yet start having a paranormal experience. And is that what we call the Uri Geller effect? Is that when someone's around and that energy is around you, your mind opens up to your perspective and you start having these. Yes, I believe it is. So I can't be from that perspective that, well, it's maybe all hooey. No. As a child, I knew when I was dragged out of my first grade class and the teacher was yelling at me, stop telling these ghost stories. There's no such thing as ghosts. And I'm crying going, yes, there is. And I'd go home and I go, Mom, she's like, why are you telling them at school? Don't think we're crazy. And I said, but I know, but I see them all the time and this and that. And then I started capturing EVPs in 1976 after watching The Amazing World of Psychic Phenomena. My mom let me watch it. I got a reel-to-reel player and I started capturing their voices. Then I was playing the voices and kids were getting freaked out. But I've always been one that I know they exist. It's not a belief system. Do I believe there's? I know they exist. The thing is that people that are around me, I can take you on a ghost hunt. I can take you on an investigation, and guess what? You're going to have an experience.
But is it possible that you are the person manifesting these anomalies?
That is a great question. And I'll tell you, a huge percentage of that, no. It's because I'm able to access that realm, that world, that I'm opening up that door for you to see. But then again, I have caused, in some small percentages, things to occur. And I'm not talking manifestations and stuff like that, but I've caused objects, light bulbs to explode and chi energy, white electricity come out of my hands that scared the hell out of my girlfriend at the time back in 91. So the thing is that what is it? Well, we're connected to all of it. And if I'm able to affect my environment and show you that the environment we think that we're in really isn't, and it peels it away, and we realize, wow, there's something else out there.
Chris, stand by. You and I have to take our final break. Exonation. Chris Fleming is our special guest. www.christopherfleming.com. And his video channel is chrisfleming.tv. We'll be back on the other side as we wrap up this hour here in the X Zone from our broadcast center and studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away.
You have heard of the X Zone? Now watch it on Simul TV, plus 500 video games, live TV channels, free video on demand, worldwide, and more. Does this sound like tomorrow's television? Well, it is, but you can have it today, right now. It is Simul TV. Simul TV offers what the others only wish they could provide. 15 exclusive channels like X Zone, sci-fi, and horror. We are worldwide. No other provider offers that. 500 built-in video games. No need to have an extra expensive system. We have them included. Free video on demand. Live streaming events from around the world. Interactive online network, and much more. Tomorrow's TV today. Simul TV. Sound too good to be true? Well, it's not. You can have Simul TV today. Sign up at simultv.com. Do it today.
The new nonfiction book, Razor of Madness, is similar to cult movies like Clockwork Orange, Dragon's Tattoo, or The Other Side of Hell. Wayne Morin Jr. and Thomas Lee Howe will expose widespread and systematic deficiencies in this thought-provoking tell-all novel. Mind control rages among scholars in law schools. Human rights are ignored while thought reform and mental manipulation are accepted practices used as behavior modification. Dr. Louis Jolyon West comes to mind. Media and public scrutiny shows that United States mental hospitals are in fact destructive murder industries. Razor of Madness expose novel details this epidemic through an in-depth professional and personal investigation. For decades, there has been a revolving door policy that still releases killers and pedophiles back into society. The maestro of mind control continues to haunt America to this very day. Razor of Madness is available in paperback or as a downloadable ebook at Amazon.com.
The concept of a new age has been around since the late 19th century, yet much of its original meaning has been lost. What exactly is the new age? Is it a religion, a collection of obscure esoteric practices, a series of doomsday predictions, or an astrological event? The New Age Chronicles is a unique, complementary publication bringing reason and grounded information to separate fact from fiction. Chock full of valuable information to support you as we make the monumental shift into the new era. You won't want to miss a single innovative issue. The New Age Chronicles newspaper is coming soon to www.newagechronicles.com.
Chris Fleming is our special guest this hour, Exonation, www.christopherfleming.com. His monthly podcast is spirittalk.planetparanormal.com, and his videos are available at chrisfleming.tv. He also has an online store, Exonation, www.ghostoutlet.com. Chris, thanks so much for coming back on the show. It's been a great pleasure talking to you, and I love the way you think. You think outside the box. But let me ask you this, Chris.
Yes.
I'm sure there's people listening who have had experiences. Mm-hmm. They're afraid to talk about it. Mm-hmm. How should they? Well, let me ask you this. Is there anything that they can do? I mean, besides to just talk to other people about their experiences? Because I'm sure that by suppressing the information inside, it's not very good for them, healthy or health-wise or mental-wise.
Well, here's the thing. Growing up as a kid, I was terrified at times with some of the negative things that occurred with these entities. Yeah. And I had really no one really to talk about it. My dad was like, "Oh, just ignore them; they'll go away." Mm-hmm. My dad chose to ignore it as well because he couldn't answer it. My mom was like, she didn't see these things, but she heard them. She knew what was going on. She had ESP and dreams that would come true, so it was a different realm for her. I had no one to go to. I was teased about it, this and that, and then when some of my friends had experiences, I had their support, and then we got intrigued by it. The fear had disappeared. We started confronting it. It was like a high you would get when some of these things would happen, like, oh my God, look what happened. Mm-hmm. But as I got older and I realized, wow, I'm not the only one, and there's people all over the world that had these experiences, I take that fear and I turn it into anger as I'm older, that I'm going to help these people. I'm going to stand up for them. And plus, I'm a fighter. I mean, my dad was a professional hockey player. He taught me how to fight, and he was always one that instituted stand up for what you believe in and help, the other person. So what I do is I go to battle, and I help people that have infestations, demonic attacks, this and that. And in some of these cases, the first thing I tell them is that you have to overcome your fear. You have to realize that these things have always existed. They will always exist. But the only reason why they're attaching themselves to you is because of a couple things. One is that you're in a weakened state, and that is either fear, addiction, emotional problems that you're having. So you need to work on those things and get those resolved. Mm-hmm. But when any of these encounters or things happen, you have to realize, okay, they're doing it just because I'm in a weakened state. No different than a predator will attack a weak animal that is hurting, or a vulture that will wait till that creature, that animal gets weaker and weaker and dies. They're only going to pick on the ones that are vulnerable. So you have to take yourself out of that vulnerable state, overcome your fear, increase your belief and faith system that you are more than just human body.
Right.
And then you start combating that. And when people start to elevate themselves and get themselves in a better place mentally, physically, you start to see these things start to detach. That is the hardest part of doing some of these cases, is that the people are still a wreck. They're not working on themselves. So what I've done is, like I stated, with these past couple of years with consciousness, my own experience, getting in a car accident, having a concussion, and trying to rebuild myself back from that, I started focusing, okay, to heal the brain, I got to really understand consciousness. And then all these incredible experiences started happening that I said, okay, what about the people that can't overcome these entities? What about the people that can't protect themselves, and that regardless we go in there and we remove them and they come back? What can I do to go to another level of consciousness where I can access that consciousness and try to help them or to combat these entities? And that's the type of research that I'm doing now. Out of my physical body, when I go into a meditative state, I leave where I'm at and I go to that place where I battle them on another level. And I know it sounds crazy, and if I heard someone talking about this 20 years ago, I'd be like, oh my God, I shake my head. I got to keep myself away from this person. But that's the perspective. When you get deeper and deeper into this, you realize not only the potential that we have as a spiritual being, that our true sense is, but that when we uncover this information, it's a responsibility that we have to do something about it. We can't walk away and go, okay, I open up a door that, oh man, I'm going to close this door.
Yeah.
The door's open, so I can't run away from it. I need to learn it to not only to protect myself and others around me, but if I can really learn as much as I can about this, then maybe I can do some good with it. Maybe I can truly help people, and that's what I've been focusing on.
You say battle. Who are the people battling? Are they battling the negative forces? Are they battling quote unquote demons? Who are their battlers?
Throughout history, different civilizations, different beings that have been created, some good, some bad, there have been wars.
Sure.
I mean, we have wars going on all over the world now.
Yeah.
And people hate each other because there's been something unjust to them. I can't speak of all those different battles and wars because I haven't accessed all of them. But the only one I can speak of that I knew about many years ago, but I didn't pay much attention. But in communicating during some of these exorcisms with the demons, they've stated they are the fallen, that the great flood wiped them out, or they were killed by man because they were half man, half beast, that there were actually centaurs, minotaurs, whatever these other creatures were that existed, which if we're talking about intelligence way beyond our own that comes here and can create hybrids, and then those things exist, but then they're wiped out and their soul and their spirit has to go somewhere. Well, those spirits here are what we are now known as the demons, the evil spirits. They hate us because they have no other form to go into. So what do? They possess people, find people that are weak, and they try to destroy our lives because they feel, well, our lives were destroyed, so we need vindication. We need revenge. And in communicating with some of these entities, I said, you're like 2,000 years old, 3,000 years old, whatever it is. You're from the fallen. And you try to get them to say, why don't you forgive yourself, forgive the Creator, and go back? Otherwise, you're going to be trapped here for a long period of time. Some will listen, some won't. There was, God, I forgot his name, Gabriel Amorth, the priest from Rome, during one of the exorcisms. He says, go back to hell where God created a place for you. And they laughed. They said, God didn't create hell. We did. We needed a place to go. He never even thought of it. And then you realize, holy cow, that may be true. That they created this own place, and it's not like a hell. It could be a hell. It could be whatever your fear is. Like someone said to me, what's your hell? My hell would be in complete darkness, all alone, away from the light, away from the Creator. That would be hell to me. Everybody has a different belief of what hell would be, and I believe that's what it is. You create that place. If faith of a mustard seed, you can tell that mountain to move, and it would move. You can tell that tree to go up into the ocean, it would go up into the ocean. That power of thought exists in that energetic spiritual realm. You can create your own existence almost instantly.
Well, thought and belief are the two strongest powers in the universe.
Correct.
Yeah. So what are you working on now?
What I'm working on now, like I stated, I'm doing more research into this Gateway program, and I started doing the tapes. And then I have some trips planned to go meet certain individuals that have accessed this state of consciousness and beyond to learn more from them. I have a TV show that I did called Help My House is Haunted with Barry Guy from the UK and Sandy Lactar from France that starts airing on July 13th in the UK on Really Channel. And the show is about us going to certain locations to help people that are being haunted and to come in contact with these spirits and access what's going on and get rid of them. That's the show for that. I've got some books I'm working on, and I have some documentaries that I am starting to develop that deal with certain principles in the paranormal field, certain entities, and I don't want to get too much into it at this point, but it's something that I discovered that I feel is a smoking gun, and I want to pursue it in a documentary.
Where can people get copies of any of your material?
Well, the magazine, I stopped publishing back in 2000, 2001, but what they can do is they can go to my website. I have a website called ghostoutlet.com. And on ghostoutlet.com, I sell the back issues, but I also sell a lot of ghost hunting equipment that I use and a lot of other people in the field that I've introduced over the years. And then they can go to my website, ChristopherFleming.com. And they can take a look at events. I speak at colleges and universities every fall talking about ghosts and the afterlife, as well as I do events throughout the year. I do a Sixth Sense workshop on how you can access your sixth sense and consciousness and create a definite purpose. And I would always suggest you go there to find out news of what I'm going to be doing, and you can follow me that way.
What are your final thoughts for the X-Zone Nation tonight, Chris?
Really protect your thoughts. Just because I said all these things, go search and investigate for yourself, because the only way you're truly going to know and access this stuff is through your own eyes, through your own experience. But always remember that if you don't control your thoughts, you don't protect your thoughts, who will?
Good question. Good question. Chris, I want to thank you so much for joining us tonight. You take care of yourself. Don't be a stranger, and good luck with all your endeavors.
Thank you so much, Rod. Bless you.
Take care, my friend. You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Chris. X-Zone Nation, our guest this hour has been Christopher Fleming. Once again, his website is www.christopherfleming.com. His monthly podcast can be listened to at spirittalk.planetparanormal.com. Videos on chrisfleming.tv. You can buy past editions of his magazine as well as paranormal investigation equipment at ghostoutlet.com. Busy guy. We had the pleasure of having Chris on the show. I believe it was towards the end of the 90s, beginning of the year 2000. He's come a long way since then. He's come up with some great possibilities, but when it comes to the paranormal, are you a believer or are you a skeptic? Send me an email, xzone@xzoneradiotv.com. Or you can visit us on our multiple websites, including Facebook, X Zone Radio TV, and, of course, to find out about the great programming we have available for you, 724, 365 here on the X Zone Broadcast Network. And, we're on Simul TV as well on the X Zone TV channel. First of all, www.xzbn.net for the X Zone Broadcast Network. And for Simul TV, www.simultv.com. I'm Rob McConnell. I'll be back on the other side of this break. Don't go away.
Modern Esoteric, Beyond Our Senses by Brad Olson, consummates the lifology story about where humanity originates. It is the lost continents, the primitive wisdom, the mythos of creation, and the rethinking of ancient history as we are taught in academia. There is much more to the story than what we have been told. As this is the first book in the Esoteric series, Modern Esoteric starts at the beginning of time and accelerates up to this modern age. Future Esoteric is book 2 in the series and takes a forward-looking position ahead of today with an open and honest examination of the ET issue and various unexplained phenomena. To discover the writings of author Brad Olson, visit www.bradolson.com. That's www.bradolson.com. Are you or is someone you know struggling with addictions, depression, anxiety, relationships, low self-esteem, lack of confidence, grief, success, and prosperity? Do you know that your subconscious belief plays a big role in the outcome of your hard work? We can help you permanently change the beliefs that may be the reason for your struggles and failures. We care about getting you the return on your investment and the results you are looking for. We can help you be free of the limitations of your past and in realizing your highest potential. We work with people by phone and Skype. For more information, visit us at www.ritasoman.com. That's www.ritasoman.com. Do you think you have energy problems in your home? Do you feel better when you're away than when you're home? Joey Korn is a global leader in the world of dowsing who specializes in personal energy clearing and space clearing. He can help you create an ideal energy environment in your home no matter where you live in the world. Learn about his remote spiritual house cleaning services and much more at www.dowsers.com. You can get Joey's book, Dowsing, A Path to Enlightenment, as well as other dowsing books and tools, Kabbalah books, and Walter Russell books. Joey's work is really amazing. Go to dowsers.com right now. That's DOWSERS.com or call 1-877-DOWSING. That's 1-877-369-7464.